If you're struggling with anxiety, with night sweats, with being freezing cold all the time, with feeling completely frustrated and lost because everywhere you've searched is not giving you any answers for why you're feeling this way, then make sure to tune into this episode. It's the perfect one for you to learn exactly how to go from feeling stuck and frustrated to feeling like $1,000,000.
What's up, sisters? Welcome to the Period Whisperer podcast. I'm Bria. I'm your host. If you're new, I'm so happy you are here. I'm your perimenopause and menopause sister, your holistic trainer, hormone specialist, translator of your female body. I'm a recovering people pleaser and hustle addict turned body whisperer and hormone decoder. And I am here to help you de-stress your body, decode what it is saying, become the CEO of it, and own your own health, energy, and weight loss again. This show is for you, the overwhelmed, overworked, underappreciated stuck woman who dreams of a body they feel strong, energetic, and sane in. The woman who knows that she shouldn't just wave the white aging flag and believes in a body and life of peace, love, and purpose. But you don't just know how to get there yet. So if you are stuck in your body, your energy, your life, you are in the right spot. Let's lean in and learn what our bodies are saying to us.
Hey there, sister. Welcome back to the Period Whisperer podcast. Bria here, your perimenopause guide. And here's my question for you today. Have you ever found yourself desperate to maybe sleep through the night without sweating through your sheets, without feeling so anxious in your life? Or maybe you're feeling like that overwhelm in life and in your body. Maybe you feel like you've tried everything and you haven't got results, like supplements or even going to see your healthcare practitioner. Maybe you're a parent or you have a full-time job. Maybe you're so frustrated with everything you've tried that you're starting to feel like nothing will ever work. Whatever it is for you, if you're hesitant about investing in another program that will make you feel even more overwhelmed and frustrated than you already do, then sister, you're not alone. In fact, feeling overwhelmed and stuck is one of the most common things I hear from women suffering in perimenopause. But here's the thing. A program that helps you thrive in perimenopause doesn't actually have to be overwhelming or another thing you invest in, which changes nothing. And to show you that, I'm going to share the inspiring story of my Midlife Mojo student, Christine, who finally found some results that she'd been looking for. And her example is proof that calming the noise and staying focused on one strategy that is designed for perimenopause is a bit of support can help you get unstuck faster than you think. So without further ado, I'm happy to welcome Christine Firth to the Period Whisperer podcast. I'm so grateful that you're here.
Thank you, Bria. Happy to be here.
Yay. So Christine, let's talk a little bit about you and your life, what you do, what your day-to-day kind of is, and your age, if you're open to it. I think that's always a good one.
Yeah, no worries. So Bria, I'm 45 years old. I am a police officer. I've been a police officer for 22 years. I have a 12-year-old daughter.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you. I have a 12-year-old daughter. My husband is also a police officer, so he's a shift worker as well. And we have two stepsons that are 23 and 24, but they no longer live in the home. So we're just chasing a 12-year-old right now. And yeah, I've actually taken some time off work since January, as I was suffering from PTSD, some incidents that happened at work. And I had been trying to get the help and staying at work and I needed some time for me was really why I took the time off work. And then this came along at the most opportune time when I really felt like I needed some help. And I saw your program. I mean, I've obviously followed you for quite some time. We've done some fitness stuff in the past together. And I follow you on socials, and it just kind of spoke to me. So I was just at such a high stress time in my life. Anxiety was probably at its worst, and along with every other symptom, that it was time to jump in.
Ah, that's awesome. Thank you. And a question actually about taking the time for you, because I feel like that's a really, for a lot of women, that's a tough decision. Was that a hard decision for you to come to be like, I'm going to take a step back and focus on myself?
It was very hard. I've always been very career driven, career focused, 22 years. I've spent the last 12 years between homicide and sexual assault and child abuse investigations.
Oh, damn.
And you just go and go and go and go and go. And unfortunately, I went until I probably just couldn't give anymore. And I was seeing my therapist weekly, and it just got to the point where it wasn't successful to me still be at work and try to work on me. So it was very difficult. I tried for about 3 months to kind of, see my therapist, stay working at the same time. And I finally realized that I had to put myself first.
Yeah. I love that. I think it is overall a hard decision, but are you glad you made that decision?
Super happy I made the decision. I needed to, absolutely. It was definitely the right decision.
I hope that gives some hope to people who are listening, because I think it's a hard thing to decide to do at times.
It is. It's very hard to put ourselves first when we've spent our whole lives putting everybody else first.
Yeah.
And you speak a lot about those things, but it's very true. We always put everybody else first, and we can only give so much until we have nothing left to give.
Yeah. And then you kind of have no choice. It's almost like you hit that breaking point, right? Where it's like, I guess now I have to change. Do you wish you'd done it sooner?
I do. I wish I'd have done it sooner, just so I didn't get to that sort of rock bottom, like just the not sleeping well and not eating well and feeling terrible and not coping well, and which is increased anxiety. And it's just that, it just piles up and piles up and piles up. So I wish I'd have listened to my body a little bit sooner, because I think it was definitely trying to tell me something. But nonetheless, it was, the time came.
Yeah. And, you mentioned shift work. I think that's I always think that's an interesting topic to talk about, because creating routine, I think in your life to feel good is kind of paramount. But how do you was working shift work and having a husband that's also working shift work, was that challenging for you to create routine? Do you feel like going back to work, that's going to be a challenge?
It wasn't too bad. I was fortunate in the position that I was in for the last 12 years. I worked predominantly days and afternoons. The majority of my nights and weekends were off. However, I was on call like 24/7 for that time, and was attached to a work cell phone too. So it was a lot of shuffling of our daughter, who wasn't old enough to stay home alone at the time. She's 12 now, but was 11 when I went off work. So, but very lucky for the help of my parents. But we were very that, and that was part of my stress was that's like routine and that scheduling, right? We very much had to live by a routine, but that routine really didn't allow time for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, as we were saying, is so critical, that building of that piece in. So you were talking about obviously anxiety, you talked about some sleeplessness, but maybe try to paint that picture. Like how were you feeling in your body when when we connected, when you started hearing about Midlife Mojo? Like what did you feel like was keeping you stuck or awake at night?
So I guess for me, perimenopause is never one of those things that it's not talked about really. Like you go to your doctor or you go to your naturopath, and sure, they'll tell you like, oh, you might be in perimenopause, but then it just stops there and that's it, right? There's no guide, there's no anything, there's nothing to really help you. And I think I'd been hearing this since I was probably about 37, when I was starting to have night sweats really bad, and just night sweats. During the day, I'm freezing cold. I'm always cold. It's literally just night sweats.
Yeah.
And I ran a marathon night sweats. I would wake up absolutely drenched religiously night in and night out. And I tried everything. I mean, I had been to every medicine doctor. I'd been to internists. I'd had every organ, I think, checked. And I was told I was a picture of health. You're healthy. All your blood work, everything, you're healthy. Well, something is not right, because nobody should sweat like this.
Yeah.
So I was feeling very, very stuck and very frustrated, because I was trying to advocate for myself, and I was trying to get answers, but there was really no one to help me. So I just found I've followed you for years, and I kept watching the different socials. And it's that video is about me. What she just said. Yes, that's me. That's me. That's me. And I kept, and it was okay, Christine, you can't just keep watching that video. You've got to do something about it. And then I saw your call for the Midlife Mojo program. And I was like, this is exactly what I need. Like you talk about like the cravings and the crashes and the fatigue and the stress and the anxiety and the increased moods and the night sweats. And I was like, wow, I don't think she's hit a symptom here yet that I don't have. But, so
funny, not funny, right? You're like, it's
right.
funny.
Like, I'd be like, you're watching it and you almost have to watch it again. Like, this is me. This is really me. This is real life. And I think that I'm sure there are so many women that relate to that, and that we just deal with that for so many years. That's what we do.
Yeah, it's so fascinating because I had very similar. Night sweats were a big one for me too. And gosh, like, good help you if you try to Google it. I mean, if you Google night sweats, the stuff that comes up, like, no wonder you try to go to your doctor and get answers because you think something is seriously wrong. And of course, it's always important to go and have that checked out. But like when you go and like you said, you're waking up, it's disrupting your sleep, you're drenched in sweat and everything's fine. You're like, how is this fine? Like, it's the most, it's kind of, I don't know. For me, I remember feeling really disheartened by it. Like, just like, I can't spend the rest of my life living like this.
And they feel, and they get worse based on the other symptoms being worse, right? Yes. Like it's like, so then you're getting less sleep, and then you're eating usually pretty crappy, and you're maybe not exercising because you didn't get a good sleep. So it's just like a ripple effect. And then the night sweats just continue to get worse.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you said you tried, like you went to all the doctors, you tried all of the things. I'm trying to remember, were you working out during that time?
On and off. Like I always enjoyed the gym, but it was the last little bit, I think, just with the stress of work and the routine and everything else, I had even gotten away from that. Like I would just come home at night and struggle to survive and make lunches and make dinner, and then usually sit down on the couch with a glass of red wine. And then, when I felt tired enough to go to bed.
I love what you said. It's like, you're just surviving. And then you're like, I'm, like a lot of women, it's like 37 to 47. You're like, I'm surviving at this age. Like, how am I going to feel at 57 and 67 and 77? Like, that's just, it's and then there's no answers out there. It's a really frustrating thing. So
yeah, and it's just a struggle, right? And then a little bit of, not a lot of weight gain, but like a little bit, like where I didn't feel comfortable in my clothing, or like not excessive, but like just fluffy and bloated, and like, I felt like all those things.
Yeah. And then it perpetuates, like you were saying, it's like you don't feel well, so then you don't want to do things, so then you eat worse, and it impacts your relationships, like your ability to be a present mom, your ability to do a really great job at work, your ability to have an intimate connection with your partner. Did you feel any of that too?
Oh, absolutely. In every way possible. You feel awful. Like you're in your body, you feel awful. And then, outside of that, it, like you say, it affects everything for sure.
Yeah. So you started Midlife Mojo, which was very exciting, and for me, I think for you too. But when we started, was there anything in the process that I suggested which like surprised you, or you felt like it worked against the advice you were used to hearing?
I think it was the slow down, like the take a step back, that really surprised me, because it's against everything that we do, even, right? It's against everything. Like nobody had ever recommended that, or nobody had ever, less is more, or do less. So that was a big surprise to me, because I think no matter what, like when we are going to the gym, we're like pushing ourselves. Like even when I went off work in January, I made a point, like that was to make, just to get into a routine, to be up at a time every morning and to go to the gym. But still, like I didn't enjoy going to the gym, or I would leave very tired and sore and have to like fight through the next day to get there.
Yeah.
Because we just think, well, we need to burn more calories. We need to be more active. We need to, like, everything's focused, I think, on that. And these high impact, like where I was going to the gym is very high impact, high intensity. Yeah. And I would leave being like, oh, I'm just so sore. Yeah. Like, to wash your hair or to sit on the toilet, like it shouldn't hurt like that. And it was frustrating. It was frustrating because it's like, well, how do I navigate this? How do I get through this if this isn't working for me? So yeah, like I think nothing was working. And then it was I remember thinking, like, the introduction in the first few phases and reading with you, and it was really slowing things down, like slow the F down, literally. Yeah.
Literally.
And I was like, well, no, this isn't going to work. Like, you're telling me I can't go to the gym. I'm going to walk. Like, I really would say, like, I can even remember having conversations with friends and being like, yeah, no gym. Like, you won't see me there for 4 weeks. I get to walk. I get to walk twice a day. Like, I wouldn't have believed it if you told me. I really wouldn't.
Mm-hmm. It's a funny thing. And I love what you said there about the soreness, because I think we're kind of taught to be like, if you're not sore, you didn't work hard enough. Like, I don't, especially if you come out of the fitness industry, as I know, like you're a longtime fitness lover and I am. But if you don't have the energy to repair, like you're just sucking the life out of yourself with that. And nobody teaches us this. It's like, and I think that was one of the most shocking things for me, was like how I did less and then actually got better results. So I love that you highlighted that, because I think it's a confusing thing for a lot of people. That being said, how are you feeling now?
Great. Now, another thing is, nobody ever discussed inflammation. That was never, ever brought up. That was never mentioned. It was just, nobody ever went down that road. And I really like that piece with you, because that was kind of like that light bulb moment when you talk about inflammation, and in that first step, reducing inflammation. And, you use the broken ankle analogy, broken foot analogy, and it really makes so much sense. And I would talk to friends and tell them that, and they're like, yeah, it makes sense. Like, why aren't we thinking about these things? Yeah. Right. So the inflammation was a real key piece, because it's not like you're not all of a sudden just dieting. You're just cutting out things that may be causing you to feel that way. And when you realize that you are feeling so much better, you're like, that's all I had to do. Like, it's almost too easy.
Yeah.
Instantly I felt better. Like, I feel like $1 million now. I feel like I have my life back, and I really, truly do. And I thank you for that, because I was stuck. I was literally stuck.
Yeah. It's a scary feeling to be stuck, especially when you're a high achiever, I think, because it's like you really start to feel like you have no control anymore. But it is such an important piece, that because your inflammation is a response to stress. But then when you're in this chronic stress, you're chronically inflamed. And so you're right. Instead of saying like, oh, I can't eat this or I can't do that, if we can look at it like, oh, I just need to take out the things that are inflaming me, then it becomes a lot easier. And you don't have to measure stuff, and you don't have to weigh stuff, and you don't have to count your calories. It's like, hey, I just need to make sure I'm not pissing my body off more. And becomes, I don't know, for me, it became a bit easier too. So I'm glad it makes sense.
And how quickly it became, because you felt better, you didn't miss those things, like no alcohol. I think I was the one that probably gave you the most grief about that. Like, what do you mean I can't have my wine? But I instantly embraced it, and I felt when I could have it, I didn't want it. Like, I felt like I went to a 50th birthday party. I went to a wedding. I went to a golf tournament, all completely clean and sober, and had a great time. And I felt great. And I felt great in the morning. Like, it really quickly was like, it was just an aha moment.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where we don't have to go forever without these things. It's kind of up to you, but we need to have enough space in our body to hear whether this thing is worth it or not to us at the end of the day.
And how it affects us, how it affects that sleep that we're going to have, or how we are going to function. Like, and a simple, like, one glass, right? But then, that increases my night sweats because my blood sugars spike in the night, and all these things that you're like, well, that's where that's coming from.
Yeah. And it's crazy when sometimes when you find that one or two things that you pull out and you're like, oh, that's all I needed to do. That's it.
And somebody told me this a long time ago.
I know, I would have taken care of it. So how are you sleeping?
Sleeping amazing. Amazing. Like, I'm at night, I'm ready for bed. Like, I feel like my nighttime routine is just kind of hang out with my daughter, get her lunch ready for the next day. We make sure all the homework, everything's, everything's just kind of done, finished up some laundry, whatever, we have kind of when we chit chat the most, and then I'm ready for bed. And when bed hits, I'm asleep like that. Like, it takes no time for me to fall asleep at all. I've never had electronics. It's always been in my room, like face down. So that's never been in me. There's no TV, nothing like that. But I'm sleeping. The only time I wake up is if it's to go to the washroom in the night. That's it. And that's probably something that comes with our age as well.
Yes. One time a night is normal these days. One time.
Or because you're drinking more water too throughout the day, right? And I do try to limit that at a certain time. But like, my sleep is like by far the best I've ever had. And not only that, I wake up feeling refreshed. Like, I wake up usually before my alarm. I can actually bounce out of bed. Like, I feel good. And even the days where if I feel sluggish or I feel tired, once I get up, I have my lemon water, I sit in the window bench with like just the natural daylight, I'm not like the rest, like I'm ready for the day. Like the rest is easy. Like it's not, I used to dread before. I used to think like, oh my God, when can I have a nap?
Yeah.
When in my day can I fit in a nap? Like those days are long gone.
And what a difference that makes in life. I don't want to make assumptions, about your life, but like what a difference that makes in life when you're not dragging the entire day or wondering when you're going to get your nap in.
Absolutely. It makes a huge difference, right? You just have more, I just have more energy to just kill the day, like just own it, right? I'm volunteering more at my child's school while I'm off. I'm doing more, took out pickleball, like just doing more for me. And I don't like, I wish now I'm like, oh, there could be more hours in a day. Like I could take on more. I could do more. Like I'm just really feeling that energy throughout the day. And I don't get those like mid-afternoon crashes. I don't get cravings throughout the day because I'm making sure that I'm, eating every 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah. I love that. It's like you don't even realize what more your life can be, like what more can fulfill it until you have the energy and space to actually do more things. And isn't that what life is? Right? It's about sort of, the things we get to do, to experience, to love, and to, and laugh with others. And I love that. So, and how's the anxiety for you now? Because you talked about that.
Much better. Like for sure. My anxiety was like at an all-time high when I went off work and prior to doing the program, like it was, and it's really helped reduce it a lot. Like, will I always struggle with some anxiety? Most likely. But now there's ways that I know that I can reduce that and I can feel comfortable. I can feel like I can get through the day and I can feel like I can take on the tasks ahead of me. And, you can set yourself up, right? You can take the time to do the things that make you feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it gives more to the people that you've been prioritizing above you all this time, right? It allows you to have that space without anything else. I love that. I'm so happy. I'm so glad that you're feeling so good. And when you said, I feel like $1 million, it just like lit my whole heart up. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no, I do. Like, it's like, you couldn't have come along at a better time in my life when I needed Bria most. She did not fail me.
Hey. So what do you think women going through this hormonal shift, like really need to know? Like if you could share just one thing, what would be that big thing to share?
I think it's leaning on an expert like yourself. Like you have done the research, you've educated yourself, you've learned all the things that I don't have time to learn, right? Like you have all the knowledge, and to lean on somebody with that knowledge that can guide you through this process and that you're not alone. Like we go through this massive phase in our life that lasts the longest, yet it's like the most undiscussed, swept under the rug issue. And with the support of other people, like the group was so helpful because you can bounce ideas, that you're not alone, how everyone's feeling. So I think it's just having that help, like trusting somebody and trust the process, slow down. Like I have friends and it's just go, 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 go. And you keep saying to them, like, you need to listen to your body. You need rest. You need to slow down.
It's amazing, right? What happens when you actually, and like, this is the logical part. I agree with you, where it's like, when we live in this hustle addicted world, like our body's always trying to push in balance. So the fastest way to get that balance back is to do the exact opposite of what you're doing, which is the work at the end of the day, isn't it? Like it's the mental gymnastics you go through to say like, hey, okay, it's going to be okay if I slow down and trust the process, like you're saying. So I love that.
Yeah. Like that 30-minute walk, whether it be in the nice weather, outside's great, on the treadmill.
Yeah.
Is like every bit as good as that hour-long workout that you may be struggling to get through because it's not a good day, right? Instead, put on a podcast, plug in and take a half hour for you to sort of de-stress with that walk, rather than the other. But I think we're so stuck on numbers, and we're so stuck on calories, and we're so stuck on all these things that aren't helping us in the long run.
Yeah, that are actually making it worse, which is what's so frustrating. And I'm with you. It's like, not only are none of us ever educated on any of this piece, but like, I remember for me feeling like I'm in the wellness industry and I don't know any of this stuff. Like when this hit me, so it's like, how on earth is someone who has another expertise, like for you being, in the police force, or like for, someone who's anything, a nurse, a teacher, if they're not in this, how are they ever going to find the time to figure this out if no one's teaching this piece?
Absolutely. So, yeah. Because you can do all the things, or you can try all the things. But like, I wasn't familiar with infradian rhythm and circadian rhythm and like that, those are their words, you know what they are. You have a general idea of what they are, but that was so far beyond me. And it was so helpful to have that guidance through the program and in ways that I could understand it. Like you really have such a good way of simplifying things and putting it out there so that we women understand it and can follow it.
Well, thank you. I'm so happy to hear that. And do you feel like going forward as we exit the program, like, are you feeling less overwhelmed? Like when you think about now your next 3 months of how you're going to operate in life, or even going back to work when that feels, if and when that feels right for you, how do you feel about navigating like the maintenance of this program?
Yeah, I feel super strong now that I have the tools. Like, it's like I have those tools in my toolbox.
They work.
I know they work. I know they're tried. And like bonus out of all this, I lost 5 pounds and I wasn't looking for any weight loss whatsoever. My body is more toned than it ever has been. And I know you told us that and you said it would happen and it did, but I wouldn't have believed it when you first started by like, or month 1, like, this is what we're going to do. So I now know that I can always go back to the basics. Like, I know that I can always reset. I know that I can always, if I go back to feeling very anxious or very, I can go back, cut out some of those inflammatory foods, cut back on the workouts, and really listen to your body. Like we just, I guess that's the key. We don't listen to our bodies enough. And we just kind of add more. We have a lot of stress already and we just add more on top of that. Mm-hmm. And it puts us in a bad place sometimes.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, the shifting of these hormones in this 20-year perimenopause transition, like you were saying, it's so long, adds this workload, it adds this stress. And so I think we become so much more sensitive to all stress and how that shows up, whether it's in anxiety, whether it's in weight gain, whether it's in night sweats, is really person dependent. But, I think it can feel frustrating and like, oh, I'm just getting old and this is just how it is. And there's no real answers. But I actually think if we can put on the lens of thinking like, oh, this is actually like, this is our midlife gift telling us that like, hey, none of these things were probably ever really working for us, but youth is a bit forgiving and it was managing it. Now we have the opportunity to actually know our body, hear what it's saying, and then dive into this next chapter without, in the best shape that we can be, in the best health that we can be, without, leaving, without just shoving stuff under the rug and thinking it's normal.
Absolutely. I mean, these are the best years of our lives, right? Like we're at an age where our kids are at an age where we can enjoy more and do more. And yeah, I just think it's so, we're just supposed to deal with it. Like, perimenopause it's just this thing and it happens and you're going to gain weight, you're going to this, and it doesn't need to be that way. Really. It doesn't. If we have a few little tools and tips and things along the way that can help guide us through this, like, let's be honest, we're pregnant for 9 months and we have somebody guide us through that, right? Yeah. We have someone guide us through labor. We have someone help us raise children, but this, and then it's like this part of our lives, we're just kind of on our own. Well, we're not on our own. We don't need to be on our own.
Yes.
And that's the biggest lesson here. Like, we don't need to feel like that. And there's nothing better than feeling amazing. Like, who doesn't want to wake up every day and feel like, I got this?
Yes. Or excited for what could come, or like interested in different opportunities, whether that's just being super present in your family or whether that's going after another dream or goal. It's like, we don't want to put those down because of how you feel. Like, we should be picking those up right now and really diving into life. So I love that you said that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you sharing this story. I'm so happy for how you're feeling. And this is a testament to you following the program, doing the work and trusting the process. So I'm just so grateful for you, Christine. I'm really glad we're connected. And now that I am officially making you my friend, so I hope you're okay with that. I think I always thought we were friends.
Feeling is mutual. And I thank you for taking the time out and doing what you do to help women, because you walked into my life when I needed you most. So cheers.
What sisters do, I think, right? For each other, sisters, like we share what works and we show up when we need to. So I'm really glad it worked out.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christine. And sisters, go out, be more in your life and less on your scale. Reach out if you have any questions, and we'll catch you next time.
I Thank you so much for joining me on the Period Whisperer podcast. I want to encourage you to reach out to me directly and message me if there are topics or things you're struggling with so we can address those right where you are at. And of course, if you loved this episode, if you learned something, make sure to share it with your friends and please rate and review it wherever you get your podcasts.